Good morning, warriors and survivors. I'm coming to you live today because I'm feeling much better. And I wanted to let you know that I am doing well. I wanted to come on here and show you that yet again, God is still good and He's holding my hand and He's pulling me through. I came on here because a lot of times people get in the habit of showing you what's really great about their lives, which is cool. It's good to show, hey Larry, hey Fave, hey Katrina. It's good to show what's great, but I'm a very transparent person, and although I'm transparent, I show you what it is that I want you to know. I don't show you things about my life for attention, because I can do many, many things for attention. I show you these things because I know the plan, what God has for my life. I know that God uses me as an example to show you that if I can do it, and I'm just a mere mortal human being like you can do it too. You all know that I battle lupus, and I have been doing really, really well up until my son passed away. And lupus is reactive from stress. So since August, I've been in the hospital 6 different times with 6 different attacks on my lungs. So they were telling me that they wanted me on the transplant list, but I was too big. When I started losing weight, I was at a 40 BMI. And in order to get on the list, you have to have at least a 32 BMI. Now, the plan was they're going to use my lungs for as long as they can, because if I were to get someone else's lungs, I would be on a lot of different medications for the rest of my life, and the lungs could reject. So the plan is, okay, we're going to be proactive. We're going to get you down to a weight that if we need to put you on this list, we can do so, because it's better to be on this list and not need it than to not be able to get on the list but need to be on the list. So I've been losing weight and everything, but all the while, stress has been taking over my body because I'm grieving. So last Sunday, and God has given me the gift of when I can look good and I still be feeling bad. Shelly, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So last Sunday, my temperature spiked to 102, and something said, you better go to the hospital. Well, I went to the hospital, and again, it was a pneumonia. So they started me on 3 different antibiotics through my IV, was running salumedron through my IV and everything. And I was feeling really, really bad. So, of course, they came up with the chemo. I've had chemo 4 times. Cytoxin was the chemo that pulled me out of the coma. And I hate chemo. It's necessary at times, but I hate chemo. So they were telling me, in order for you to stay in this fight, you got to do this chemo. Now, sometimes when we in this fight, we think that this fight is going to be easy. This fight ain't easy, y'all. I don't care how good we make it look. It's not easy. And I hate chemo. Chemo, any type of chemo, is harsh on the body. So they gave me some days to think about it. And I never think about me when I'm growing. Notice I say growing, because you never just go through something. You're growing through something to get to, because people need to see that if she can do it, God is no respecter of person. The same God that's working in her can work in me. So I said, yeah, I'll do the chemo. That chemo tore me up, y'all. When they started giving me the chemo, I guess I was having an allergic reaction. My throat started closing. They got real nervous. They shut it down for a minute. Started running Benadryl through my IV. But that didn't stop it. It wasn't like they're going to say, oh, okay, well, she's not receiving this good. We know that in order for me to do well, I have to get this chemo, because it's been 6 different attacks on my lungs, and they don't want me to go back into no coma and something worse happen, and they can't do anything for me. And then then I'm dead. Then we always sit around talking about well, I'm waiting to hear from God. I need to hear a word from God. Well, don't you think that God has given me the wisdom to send all these doctors to me to tell me how I can stay in this fight just a little bit longer? Even though I don't want to, y'all. I never wanted to do this. So I called my big sis. I'm crying and I'm like, they want to do chemo. She said some words that made me laugh so hard, but it was pretty much like, you got to do what you got to do if you want to stay in this fight. Because if I say no, I'm trusting God, and then just say no to the chemo. Then I go home, they give me a few antibiotics, and then something else hits my system. And the next thing y'all know, I'm in a coma again. Is that really God? But didn't God give me the wisdom? And didn't God send the doctors to tell me what could happen? Even though they were telling me some things that I did not want to hear, even though they were sharing with me some things that could happen that I did not want to do. So I did the chemo. When I got here, my oxygen levels was on 8. In my home, I have an oxygen machine that's on 10. And a lot of times, you guys may think that I'm not on oxygen because I don't like taking pictures with this oxygen because it ain't cute to me. But I'm still on oxygen. So the praise report is this. All my vitals are good. They're better than what they thought they would be. My oxygen level is at a 2. I did not like the chemo. The first night after the chemo was very hard. The nurses was here hand on foot because I call U of M my second home. And they took really good care of me. And I came on here with this message to share with you that there's going to be some things in your life that you have to grow through, that you might not want to. And you have to make these hard decisions. You have to make these hard decisions if you want to stay in the fight, because God give you these things to do, as opposed to say, yeah, well, I'm waiting on God. And then something happened and then you end up dying or end up in another coma and it's much worse. And you like, well, God, where were you? Well, God was with me because they told me the pros. They told me the cons. They told me what would happen. And if I want to stay in this fight just a little while longer, this is what I needed to do at this time. So I just wanted to come on here and share with you that although I'm transparent with my journey, because I know that this isn't just for me, it ain't about my business and how it makes me look. I ain't got no business. It's all about God's business. And God uses whoever he wants. And sometimes God may be using you in a situation and you don't want nobody to know what it is you're growing through. But sweetheart, it ain't your business. You never know whose lives you're going to touch. You never know who's going to listen to your story and just grab onto faith and say, if she can do this, then I can do it. My friend Moni Love that was here doing the services for my son, she's in the hospital too in Atlanta. And she's on dialysis. This is her first time on dialysis. But this is her next step in the fight. Yes, pneumonia hit her lungs. And when you have systemic lupus, it attacks the organs in your body. It's like your body is allergic to itself. And when we're in this fight, when we're in this thing called life, if we knew everything, we wouldn't know God. We wouldn't need God. Was this scary? My God. This is definitely scary because anything could happen. I stopped trusting in my body a long time ago because I know that when it's some stress or when it's things going on in my life, my body is going to turn on me. But you know who I do trust? Baby, I trust in God. I trust in God because he has never failed me, yet he has never left me. And he don't say, remember when you acted a fool last week, or remember when you wasn't acting right with such and such. God is so good to me that he don't say, I'm going to do this because you did good. He said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help you. I'm going to bring you out yet again because, baby, I love you. It's nothing other than I love you. I love you, Tracy. And I feel his love. I'm so thankful yet again for him grabbing hold to my hand and saying, my child, I got you. Because anytime you go in a hospital, it's a very, very stressful thing. A very simple procedure can turn and you end up dead. I've heard it all the time. Somebody go in the hospital because of something very minute and then they end up dead. But God is great, y'all. God is so good. And I'm going to continue to trust him when I don't know, because I was talking to a lot of different friends. Like, I don't want to do chemo. I'm crying, kicking, pouting, screaming. It's just like that child you tell to go clean a room and then they can go outside and they start crying. They crying because I know that I got to clean this room. I don't want to, but I'm just having a temper tantrum. That's what I did. I had a temper tantrum, y'all. But baby, I'd rather have God and not need him than not to have him and need him. God is good. He's good by himself. He sent me the greatest doctors. He sent me doctors that talk to me and share with me and allow me in my treatment. And for this, I'm grateful. I've been here since last Sunday. And I'm on my way out. I'm not rushing them. But I just want to encourage somebody that when you waiting on God, God ain't going to come down in no big booming voice and say, my child. He's not going to do it. I'm just telling you, because truth be told, I was waiting on that many times. Well, I'm waiting to hear from God. God will give you wisdom in your situations. God will send you people with a confirming word. God will say things in his word. And he has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love, truth, and power, and of a sound mind. And although I did not want that chemo, and yes, it wrecked my body while I was in here, I'm on the other side, preparing to get ready to go home. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I didn't say, no, I'm waiting on God, or I'm waiting to hear from God, because it was an emergent situation. I had been sick back and forth for a minute now. And many people might think that I come on here for shits and giggles, and I don't. I love God with my whole heart. And this walk with him started with my marriage, but it ended with when I got sick, because late in the midnight hour, when ain't nobody up and the doctor's still coming to visit you and looking at tests and telling you this, that, and the third, you don't have anyone to talk to but God. But I've changed it. I used to talk to God as a last resort. Now he's the very first thing I go to. Okay, God, what am I to do here? What should I do? I don't want to do this, God. I hate chemo. It makes me feel a certain kind of way. I don't want to do this. But in order for me to stay in this fight, and in order for me to be here for my girls, and in order for me to be here for Jordy, I had to make some decisions for myself that was going to keep me fighting in this fight just a little while longer. Just a little talk with Jesus, baby. It makes everything okay. I thank y'all for y'all prayers. I thank y'all for y'all love, even with the loss of my son, with me grieving, because life still goes on. My son would still want me fighting to my living. The way my DNA is set up, y'all, I just can't go out like no sucker. I just can't go out and sit back and just let things happen to me. And then I want other people to know that you can do it. I'm not doing this by myself, y'all. I appreciate y'all kudos, but it ain't me, y'all. It's he who lives in me. I don't know enough, and I'm scared out of my mind when any type of attack happens. I got children that need me. I got people that's in my groups that look forward to me giving them a word. And it's not because I know everything. I don't know everything. But baby, my relationship with God is second to none. And that still don't mean that I do everything right. Because I can act a little ugly sometime and I have to go back and say, okay, God, I shouldn't have did that. Okay, God, forgive me. But y'all, I thank y'all. And if there's anything in y'all life that y'all have questions about, that y'all don't know, take it to the Lord in prayer. He is with you and he wants that type of relationship with you. God know I'm scared, but he likes to hear me say, Daddy, I'm scared. Daddy, I don't want to do this. Daddy, this is hard. Because this is hard. I don't trust in my body anymore. 9 times out of 10, if something major happens in my life, I can anticipate a flare. Well, this one was a little bit more heavier. And they said, hey, to get you back on the right track, we need you to do this chemo. And I'm so glad I did. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. I had about 5 nurses in here. They were stopping. They didn't know why my throat was closing up. But God was with me. And it kept me a little bit calm. And what I like about U of M is, one of the nurses prayed with me. She said, can I pray with you? Because it was a morning where I had seen some memories of James and I was crying. And she said, she was the head of nursing. And she said, may I pray with you? And I said, please do. That's what I like. When I can see the God in you. When you can ask me, ma'am, can I pray with you? That's what I need. That's how I know that God is with me. And that's how I know that God is in the right place with me. Stop trusting in yourself. Stop trusting in people. We are human, having a human experience, and we never know what we're going to do. Yes, sometimes we handle situations the wrong way. But stop trusting in yourself and trust in God. And he will definitely bring you through. And I got to go because my doctors is coming in. And I'm sure they're coming in to share with me and to share with what's going on next. But as always, people, be blessed and know that you are. And I love you and I thank you again for your prayers.